What is going on, everybody? This is Jackie's Interviews and Podcasts, and today I'm going to be interviewing Jeanette Terry. Once again, there will be many interviews coming soon. I look at it this way, man. Everybody has a story to tell, and if you could tell that story and elaborate what you've been through, maybe it might be able to help somebody else in the near future. So all it takes is words, man. Sometimes words are very powerful, and you know that one simple story might be able to touch somebody in a way that you never thought possible. So this is what Jackie's Interviews and Podcasts is all about, man. It's all about, you know, taking about 5 minutes or 2 minutes of your time, or even 3 minutes. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a story to tell. It's all about taking that time and just telling bits and pieces of your story. You know, we all got a story to tell, so why not tell it? And today I'm interviewing my mom. She's a very inspirational character. She has been through a lot in her life. 30 years in a wheelchair, and man, she just strive forward, and over against all odds, she overcame the impossible, and still is overcoming the impossible with struggles in her life. And today I'm just going to be asking her some questions. So let me introduce you, everybody, to Jeanette Terry. Here we go. Wow, so tell me a little about yourself, man. I mean, you done been through it all, man. You done been through struggles throughout growing up, and 30 years in a wheelchair, and you know, it's just very inspiring. I mean, you touched a lot of people, you know, just from your smile, your charismatic personality, your drive. I mean, tell me what it's like, you know, 30 years in a wheelchair. How did that go for you, man? What were your struggles? What were your pains? What were your happiness? How did you deal with it?
Oh, well, of course, it's been hard. I can't tell a lie. It's been hard because anytime you don't have, I don't think sometimes we, you know, as people as a whole, we never picture ourselves losing part of our body or a function where it affects us walking or talking or being able to use our arms and things of that nature, or being blind and can't see. Nobody ever pictures themselves that way. But if it happens to you, then you realize just how much harder life is if you have any one of those elements missing that affects your physical attributes. So, of course, it's been hard. But I tell you what, my son said so many sweet things I couldn't help but smile. But for real, the reason how I got through all of this was my kids. My kids, I feel like, didn't have a chance to really have the normal childhood that most kids their ages would have, because they learned how to help me out at a young age. They grew up with a mom in a wheelchair, so they learned how to do different things for me, or they might have to do things that I wasn't physically able to do. So they were able to help me out a lot. So that's the number one reason how I made it all through this, is just simply my children.
Well,
you know.
Well, like you said, in general, your kids, I have a son, Zayden Lamar Mitchell, and like you said, it's just the kids, they bring you that extra strength, you know, the extra strength to do the impossible, man, and vice versa with parents. And if you got good parent support, they will give you that extra strength as well. So it's vice versa. The two actually balance each other out, kids and parents. So I was able to get a lot of support from my mom and my dad, and it's made me stronger. And as well, you know, as my son Zayden Lamar Mitchell, he gives me strength as well, because I like maybe a year and a half ago, I couldn't even imagine myself just standing in front of a camera. I always was a shy person, but it's just that drive that your kid, that your offspring gives you, that gives you that extra power, a sense of motivation, like, wait a minute, I'm gonna do this, you know, I'm gonna make it through it. And if you got that certain passion in your heart that burns with you, you're gonna do it, no excuses. And that's one of the things I respect about Jeanette Terry, my mom. You know, she had that passion. She put all her passion into her kids. Her kids were her original strength to do the impossible. And you know, it definitely wasn't easy. You know, I see my mom come up, you know, through struggles, you know, marriage, everything, you know. And the fact is that she came out of it and she came out of a depression. And one thing is, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and you experience that light at the end of the tunnel as for now. So how does that light feel to you? I mean, yeah, I mean, I know you still face challenges medical wise, but there's still light at the end of the tunnel as well. How does that feel to just make it out that depression?
Well, I tell you what, it feels really good. And first of all, the first thing for anyone to make it out of any depression is you have to learn to love yourself. That was always my problem. I never loved Jeanette. I wanted somebody to love me. But in truth, what I've learned throughout my 50 years of life is that you can't love anyone until you do love yourself, because every relationship you'll go through it just won't work out, because if you don't love you, then you can't love someone else. So it feels good, and I had to start liking and loving me first. It first started off with liking myself and accepting myself for the way I was. I had to be confident. I had to learn to like the way I dressed, the way I looked, everything about me. I had to like that, because how can I expect someone else to like it if I'm not even liking myself? That shows. It comes through your personality. So that was one of my biggest things, and I thank God for being hospitalized in 2011 before I got back with an old boyfriend of mine, Larry, because that's what really strengthened me, was being in that hospital, because I made up my mind. Out of the 30 years in this wheelchair, I've never had any psychiatric or talked to anyone in a anyone that was a medical professional about how I felt, my feelings. And even doing this is really weird, because I don't usually go that deep. That was stuff I kept inward. But what I do notice about keeping things inward is unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. Now I'll talk to anybody that'll listen. I'll talk to this camera. I'll talk to a rock. I'll talk to my damn self if I have to. But most of all, I'll talk to God. But I mean, so I've always got somebody to talk to. But the main thing is talking and expressing yourself, just getting it out, because that's when you keep stuff locked up, that's when you'll start losing your mental sanity for real. You really will, because it's just too much. And as human beings in the environment that we live in, I mean, it's very stressful, and then you've got to deal with all these people around you, and everybody's got different attitudes, different personalities, different feelings. So we're put into it's almost like a pressure pot. Every day we wake up, you're in a pressure pot, because anytime you've got to deal with other people, and they're, like I say, their attitudes, their personalities, maybe they're not having a good day today, maybe you are having a good day today, and that always, it doesn't mix. It's like two people going this way. So I mean, it's just learning, my light at the end of the tunnel, was learning how to love myself, accept myself for who I am, what I look like now, not for what I look like in the past, but for what I look like now, and love who I look like now. And whoever doesn't like it, I got the attitude, well, hey, that's your issue. That's not my issue. I love me, so hey, there you go.
Yes.
So.
And what you said was a very true statement in general. Loving yourself in general. You have to be able to love yourself before anybody else can love you. Right. And I particularly had that when I was coming up in high school. I was very quiet. I was a very shy kid. I wasn't the charismatic person that I am now. I always had it in me, but it was actually kind of hidden. It was kind of hidden deep down the side. And like you said, I would kind of keep everything inside and not let it out. I didn't know how to handle it. So essentially, I just kind of turned to the weights to kind of release that frustration and a sense of anger out. But after high school, I essentially, made that commitment, essentially like you did in 2011, I made that commitment that I'm gonna start letting people like me for who I am. You know, I got too much potential to be held up in a shell and to be quiet. So I told myself when I graduated in 2004 that I was gonna come out of my shell, and I did, and it was bits and pieces. You know, it takes time. You know, nothing. You know, just takes nothing takes. Nothing just takes a day or two. You have to. It takes years of, you know, practice and, you know, bettering yourself one day at a time. You know, so and you might have failures too. You know what I'm saying, or you might have rejection or anything like that. But that's always good because you can learn from it and it makes you stronger. So I feel my mom, what she's saying, the key aspect is to love yourself, but actually love other people around you too. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be selfish and just be like me. No, you want to kind of spread that love yourself, but also love everybody around you, because that love that you have for yourself and that love you have for other people will eventually spread, and that's how you create real bonds, bonds with other people. So definitely I feel my mom on what she's saying. Love yourself. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, as you see my mom, fresh from a wheelchair, 30 years still kicking and still smiling. And one thing about my parents, both my mom and my dad, you know, even through my dad's toughest adversities when he was in the hospital, he smiled, you know, and he was eventually able to come out that heart attack and, you know, essentially live a healthy life with his family until he finally passed. But at the same time, he was able to die happy as well. And same with my mom, you know, full of potential, still kicking and still smiling. And you got to be able to smile through that pain and, you know, really make it through those struggles. And sometimes we might have demons. We all have demons that we have to face. We have to look those demons in the eyes and face them and tell them, wait a minute, get out of me. This isn't me. This isn't who I am. This isn't who I am. You know, you're not going to control me. You're not going to control me with anger. You're not going to control my body. You know, I'm fully righteous, and sometimes you got to put that negative energy behind and, you know, really kind of realize who you really are. So I want to ask my mom, tell me, what demons have you had to face, or what negative energy have you had to face back in the past, and how did you essentially deal with it, man? Because I know that negative energy can get tough. It can lead you to do things like you normally wouldn't do. How did you face those demons, and how did you actually just come out of that, man?
Well, me and you were kind of similar. We're both alike. I mean, in school, I was teased a lot. I was kind of a nobody. I was an outcast. So I'm used to being a loner. So for me to be by myself, a lot of people are like, oh, Jeanette, let's go here, let's go there, let's go here. And I'm always turning people down because I'm used to being by myself and I'm used to entertaining myself. So it doesn't bother me. So how did I conquer those demons back then? I mean, it started off from being a kid. And I became very introverted because, well, that introversion at that time was good because I had no one. And I had myself, but I used to read books. I did my word search. I mean, I came up with my own fun. I made my own fun. I would be on the playground looking weird and crazy while everybody's doing their thing. I'm doing reading books and I made my own fun. So that was a demon I conquered. Getting in the wheelchair, how did I conquer those demons? At first, I didn't conquer them. They were conquering me because it's called depression. Those demons come out in depression. And what that does is it makes, I guess I have a regret. One of my regrets for letting my demons take over is because when you're depressed and you have children, you don't realize what you're submitting them to. And they start thinking that depression, when they start going through problems, is their only way out. And sometimes that depression can even lead to suicide because I was very suicidal during those times, you know. So, the regret I have for not getting help sooner, a lot sooner than 30 years, is that you pass this on to your kids, not willingly, and it's very not, subliminal. I mean, you don't even know that you're doing this, but your children, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. They're looking at your actions, and they're looking at how you handle things, and that's what you're doing to them. You're showing them that, oh, okay, depression, that's the way you handle it. You just get depressed, you just stop. So that was a demon, but the way I conquered those demons was I had to start looking at my accomplishments, and that was something that I always felt if I started listing my accomplishments, I felt like I was bragging or boasting or being too boastful or anything like that. So I kept that to myself. But what I learned to do, you don't have to go around bragging and telling everybody, but what I learned to do is tell myself about my accomplishments, and I learned to respect and feel good and congratulate myself. Hey, it's okay to congratulate yourself. I did accomplish a lot. I did do this. I did do that. So that's okay to tell yourself that, because that kind of pumps you up. And see, those demons start leaving. Another way I conquered my demons was as I started reading the Bible. This is my first time having Bible study in my life. I've been throughout the church when I was married. When I became unmarried, I still did a little reading here and there, and especially throughout my hospitalization stays, I did a lot of reading, because you're in the hospital, and if you ever needed God, and at one time you need Him when you're sick and in the hospital bed. So, that encouraged my reading too. And the Bible, all the Bible is about a bunch of people who have the same problems. See, the world has changed through technology. A man's mentality has never changed. Selfishness, greed, happiness, love, caring, murder, all the things that make up who man is as a person, as the things that we go through. Those things have never changed. They never will. They're part of who we are. And if anything, the bad traits have just got worse, is all it is, And all the Bible is describing is people who went through the exact same things that we're going through now. It's just that they didn't have the technology that we had now, but they still had the same mentality. I'll kill you to get so I can have what you have. I'll sleep with your wife because I want to sleep with her. I don't care if it messes up your family or your kids. I'll come in your house and steal your stuff because I want it. I don't want to work for it. I'd rather steal your things. So, the mentality has never changed. So reading the Bible and seeing that this has been going on from day one, since man was put on this earth. It lets me know that a lot of times when we isolate ourselves into our own problems, and we feel like, oh, woe is me, I'm the only one. And I used to ask, why me? I used to ask God this question every day. Why me? Why me? I'm a good person. I don't deserve this. I don't go around hurting people. I don't go around trying to do bad things to people. But finally, God answered that question. He said, why not you? What makes you different from any of the other people who are going through bad situations or have went through a similar situation that you're going through? And there's somebody worse off than you. There's a quadriplegic laying in a bed somewhere that can't get out of bed all day. So, the reading the Bible really, it helped strengthen me, and it gave me, it let me see you're not so isolated as you think you are, man. And sometimes we have to, as the old expression says, take your head out of your butt and look around. Look around the world. The whole world is having problems. Everybody's got an issue. Everybody's going through something. So you're not the only one. So once you start acknowledging and really get a deep-rooted understanding that you're not the only person with problems in this world, and you can't walk around acting like you own pain, because you don't own pain. Everybody's in pain, and everybody's in pain because of death. death causes pain for everyone, because when we lose a loved one or someone in our lives that we care about, I mean, everybody experiences that pain. There's not one person on this earth that has not experienced that type of pain. So that was the real beginning of the start of getting those demonic forces and those things, because I made up my mind a long time ago. Well, 2011, ain't been that long, but I made up my mind even years before that. But I still was stupid at one point, but I was like, I'll never try suicide again. Never, ever. I don't care. Because suicide is not the answer. Living is the answer. Living, and it's easy to die, but it's hard to live. Living is what's hard. Dying is the relief part. People got it all mixed up. We cry when someone dies, but like they always tell us at the funeral, it's a celebration. This person ain't got to go through this stuff no more. They ain't got to worry about no bills, no hate, no dislike, people plotting and planning and worried about where you gonna live, how you gonna eat, all that stress that comes with being an adult in this world. You ain't gotta worry about that no more. But the people that's living, we the ones that gotta keep going through this rat race every day. So getting rid of demonic spirit, that demonic side was just basically, like I said, reading my Bible, having Bible study. I need to do it more on a regular, like I should, but the Bible study has helped me, because it is, even though I still mess up, because we're all going to mess up. The Bible says we're all going to fall short of the glory of God. As long as we're living on this earth, we're always going to fall short, because we're human. We're man. We are made up with greed, hatred, love. We're made up of all these different combinations, and they all come out at different times during different situations that happen in our life.